Language is kind of part of that neurosemantic language learning theory, and it's kind of the last thing that we acquire, okay? And it's also continues to be acquired throughout our lifetime as a set of concepts or language functions. So again, there's two ways I put over on the board. Learning is a set of language structures, you learn the parts of language, and then learning language functions, you learn to conceptualize. So we talk about conceptualization today, we're talking about how do you raise language function to get deepened concepts so that our kids are much more creative. They have a lot more choices that they can make in terms of their own creativity. Okay, so let me give you some examples of how that might happen. So this is some research that was done by Greenwood, and this is the benefits of learning a second language. You know, most of us in here think about, well, gee, we've got kids that we need to get one language going. Okay, or need to get the behavior figured out, or we need to get the vocabulary, whatever. But what the research actually shows is that our brain functions a lot better with more symbolization. So the more languages our kids actually acquire, the better the cognition. Okay? And so there's lots of ramifications of this. This means that if I have a kid that's learning music, and they're learning music and they're learning how to play music with a variety of people, they're learning a second language. Okay? If I have a kid who's a fabulous mathematician and they're entering these math contests, that type of thing, I have a chance to use that as an event for the kids to basically increase their cognition. If I have kids that I can get into drama and they can write and draw about what they did in drama or what they did in sculpting class or what they did in their music class, if I can get them to do that, I can use that as a basis for helping that language develop across not only the fine arts, but using the fine arts to help them develop their language. Does that make sense a little bit? And the science research behind it shows that we actually are better then in terms of our problem solving. Well, what does problem solving have to do with creativity? Problem solving creativity is that if I'm truly creative, okay, I can take something I'm really good at and I can explain that to somebody else. Okay? Glasserfeld, years ago, way back, von Glasserfeld, I think is his name. Anyway, he came up with this whole definition of talented and gifted. And he said kids really aren't talented and gifted unless they can take the gifts that they have and the talents that they have and use them to teach somebody else, to share it with somebody else, to explain it to somebody else. So when a kid does this beautiful art thing, you know, and it's in a gallery, that doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of their learning. It's something you can buy, something you can sell, and you may think that's cool, but the kid is still dependent upon their family. Okay? So why not have that kid write about it, draw about it in their experience, put themselves in their picture, cartoon that out, explain that to other people, and say, this is how I go about doing it. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. What I have found is many of our kids who have this creative abilities that we call talent, okay, truly aren't talented and gifted. What they have is they have something that stands out higher than the other skills that they have that we interpret. So if you want to use that to help them, not us. It's not about the commercial piece of buying it and putting them in their businesses and stuff like that, which I've run into families sometime. I'm talking about helping them. Then what has to happen is that they have to be able to take that investment, whatever it is that they do really well, and be able to come back through and then draw and write. And that's where we can help. We can help them learn to draw and write and talk and read about it and share it with other people. So problem solving is huge in this. The other thing down here says critical thinking skills. Skills basically is a cognitive psych way of looking at that, but it helps with the creativity and cognitive flexibility. What that means is I can think at a higher level. That cognitive flexibility is I'm thinking at a higher level. Here's another person who says we need to invest in language learning. Learning a new language challenges and engages your brain in new ways. It's a mental workout that enhances the mind. And I like that a lot because it's really the language part that develops the mind, not the other way around. And if you look in cognitive psych, the mind typically comes out of the brain, okay? And it's through the mind that we get the language, and that's not the case. The brain develops the language, and when the brain develops the language, then you can use the language for higher order thinking, okay? There's another one, and learning another language is not only learning different words for the same things, but learning another way to think about things. Yeah, okay. So it's not just how much vocabulary do you have, it's how are you thinking about this? Is there another lens? Is another perspective? Can you take an idea that's out there and think about it from a multiple ways? Can you debate a topic from two directions? In English, in the standards in English, debate is one of the highest, okay? And they look at that in the core curriculum. It's brought in terms of thinking and learning throughout, even in the lower grades. To do that, you have to be able to look at an idea, a science idea, a math idea. You have to be able to do it in multiple ways. You have to be able to say, well, you could think about it this way, and you could think about it this way, but you could think about it this way. Well, so-and-so thinks about it this way. And so many of our kids function at that lower level, me, myself, and I. And when they function at the lower level, me, myself, and I, there's nobody else in their picture to think about. So there's no way they're going to think about ideas from multiple perspectives. Okay, and if you can't think about an idea from multiple perspectives, then you can't have a discussion. You can't have choices. You can't make decisions based upon good choices.